Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast Pretty Rebellious. I started the podcast to empower women all around the world because of certain causes, women who are difficult or they don't follow the rules, they are sort of dismissed from the societies. And when I came up this word, and I knew when I will start it, there is only one woman in the whole world that I would like to interview the first. He was my inspiration a couple of years ago when I was in the United States at the forum, and her speech made me to stick to my course, to empower others, and never change and decrease the values of your life. Welcome here, Giselle, directly from the Austin, United States. How are you doing?
It's so good to see you. And when you reached out and you told me what a transformation you've experienced over the last couple of years since hearing my talk, I couldn't not come and spend some time with you and hopefully create a ripple effect for other women, because that's really what it's about, is that I'm one person. And when I can get in front of an audience like that, whether it's one person, 10 people, 100 people, whatever you take from that conversation, if you're able to live that out loud and inspire others, then that's a beautiful, beautiful tsunami wave of change that we can create. And I hope that someone listening really needs to hear this. And I'm grateful to be here to help continue to share this message.
Thank you so much, Giselle, using tsunami. Tsunami is exactly the word that I'm describing very difficult times of your life, and you have to deal with so many kind of things. It's like tsunami. You have two choices: drown or jump off and recreate your life. I would also like to ask, like, you are the coach. I'm sorry, my English. You are inspiring women all around the world. You are on the stage speaking, empowering women. You've been a former television host as well. You've been through a lot of experience, a lot of learning yourself. How did you reach in that position to be the coach and other people? You have to have your own very deep personal experience.
Well, one of the reasons why we connected is because the first story that I shared when I got on that stage was about this time where my life changed when I realized that the circumstances I was in, which was a very dysfunctional, emotionally abusive, manipulative relationship, I finally realized that these circumstances were not okay. And also that I did have the power to leave, because what I shared on that stage is something that I know you want me to share with your audience right now, which is that maybe you don't necessarily know what it's like to be in a horrible relationship, and thank goodness if that's the case. But maybe there are moments in your life where you look around and you're like, how did I get here? Like, how did I get here? And oftentimes people look at me and they think, what? You're this coach, you're this speaker, you're on stage, you look so confident. How could you have ever let somebody treat you that way? And the reality is that I didn't even realize that it was happening. You mentioned how if somebody's drowning, hopefully this will inspire them to get out. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're drowning because we as women, we're so strong. We can carry so much that we tell ourselves, oh, this is fine, this is easy, or I'm going to fix it. Not even recognizing, like, babe, you're struggling right now and you need a hand. And we're like, no, I don't. I'm fine. I'm good. Don't worry about it. Just look away. And so I always share the parable of the boiling frog. I didn't make it
I
up.
love it. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. I just love it. That's the best. I call it actually right now boiling frog theory to my favorite friends.
Yes. So the parable of the boiling frog. And the parable goes like this. If you put a frog into boiling water, he'll jump out. However, if you put a frog into lukewarm water, and you slowly raise the temperature, degree by degree by degree by degree, the frog won't even notice that it's getting hotter until it's too late. And I've heard that that's actually not true, that frogs don't actually react in that kind of a way. But I share that because usually when we get into these circumstances where maybe it's not even a relationship for you, maybe it's actually your body. You look in the mirror and you've gained weight, or you don't even take care of yourself anymore. Maybe it is motherhood for you. You lost yourself in motherhood. Maybe it is a job that you have where at one point it was your dream job. Now all of a sudden it's complete chaos and you feel totally unsupported. Maybe for you it is a relationship. It could be marriage. But there are circumstances that it's not like we signed up for that, or it's not like one horrible thing happened and all of a sudden our life looks different. No, it's that little by little by little by little. Maybe it was, sure, I can handle that. Yep, I can do that too. I can do a favor. And all of a sudden you were spending minutes or hours trapped in a different job or a different body that you didn't sign up for. And so the reminder that I want to give to you is, number one, you are not a frog. And so
I
in
love
that
it.
sense, you do have the ability to see what is and isn't okay. You can look at your circumstances right now and decide, is this the life that I want to settle for? Or do I want to settle for more?
How do you define the moment? How the things have to be? Because, especially being raised in the Soviet Union and growing up and starting my independence during the Wild West in the Eastern Europe. So it was like totally different country that I was like in culturally raised, and now I am in this women empowerment society. Everybody says you are like crazy. How hard or how difficult it have to be that you will jump out of the boiling water?
Yeah, it's really different for everyone. Typically, if we make a big change like that, it's because of major pain or major pleasure. Sometimes there's what some people call the rock bottom moment or the near death experience. And sometimes it's not like that at all. It's just simply waking up from whatever type of a dream that you might be in. And so with that, it's recognizing, well, hold on a second. Because in that moment, I was not a confident person. In that moment, I allowed for someone to really tell me and allow for me to believe that I did not deserve a life of love and happiness, or that I was not capable of having a career, or that I would never make it in the dreams or the path that I had chosen. And so for me, it wasn't just in that moment realizing, okay, it's time for me to go. We're going to break up. I'm done. No, if anything, it probably took me about 5 or 6 months to develop the confidence and the courage to have a conversation that was honestly less than 10 seconds long. And so similarly though, and kind of point number 2 to the frog, is that sometimes you can make that change immediately. Sometimes it's that you have to make tiny little meaningful changes to get your power back. And so whether you know right now is a time for you to make a big change or not, that doesn't matter, but maybe you could use getting some power back. Everybody could use getting a little bit of power back. Everyone could use some more discipline. Everyone could use a little bit of a push to stretch your potential. And so that's where we look at, okay, let me look at my day. Am I reactive or am I proactive? Is my time throughout my day, am I taking care of everybody else, or am I making time for myself? Am I making time for my God? Am I making time for my kids that I want to make? Am I making time to move the needle for my long-term goals? Or am I constantly wondering if I'm never enough, if I'm ever going to get there, if I should really just give up at this point? So what are some little things that you could do? Because sometimes confidence for us, it goes away because we've constantly let ourselves down. So in these circumstances, what has happened is that you have compromised your standards. You've wanted to help somebody else, or be there for your kids, or be there for your relationship, or hope that someone's going to get better. You're taking care of them is how you're putting it out to you. You're putting everybody before yourself, but at the expense of yourself. And so think about, are there things that you used to do that you used to make you really happy? Or maybe it's, did you used to go to the gym? Have you let your body go? Have you let your discipline go? And so, for example, it could be something little like, you know what, I'm actually going to have a healthy breakfast this morning. I'm not going to go after the sugary meal. Or maybe it's, I'm going to go to the gym. What I like to say is, confidence is like that friend who you want to be able to rely on. And we've all had those seasons. I know I've had that season where I have been that friend where I will say, of course, I would love to hang out with you. And then at the last minute, something always happens. And then I'm like, oh, sorry, I got to reschedule. Oh, sorry, I got to reschedule. At the very last minute, something always comes up. It's work, or it's the dog, or just something is more important. Confidence is the same way. There's something inside of you that's saying, hey, we got to go to the gym. We got to get out of the relationship. We need to eat healthy today. We need to read that book or write that book today. We got to start that show or that podcast. But then you're like, yeah, of course. But right before you're about to do it, you're like, actually, I can't. Or right now it's not that. Let's do tomorrow, next week, next month. Well, in the same way that your friend would give up asking if you want to spend time together, your confidence does too. Your confidence is like, why do I even bother? You're going to say no to me.
So
So
three
you have
steps.
to rebuild that trust.
3 steps that you say is important to build up their confidence. And I do totally agree with you, because it has taken me 7 years to be who I am right now. And when I'm manipulated or challenged with different kind of stuff, I'm saying, nope, I don't even want to discuss about it. I don't even want to do it. And when I'm saying it, it has been just happening recently. Then I'm like, oh my God, I really said that? Am I really said that? You're still hesitating. So what are like your 3 steps that we can do it like easier?
So there is what I call it internal content, external content, and scalable content. But also the way that you can look at it is also mindset, communication, and visibility. So let's look at that. Mindset. What are the stories that you're telling yourself in your head? And can you potentially break out some of those patterns?
Exactly.
So maybe you're telling yourself, I'm never going to do that. Hold on. How could I? Even if it's switching to, well, how could I do that? Just play with it. How could I do that? Or instead of saying, I'm never going to do it, well, I haven't done it yet. Or wouldn't it be awesome if? Internally, let's tell ourselves something different. Also, communication. What are the language? What are the phrases that you're saying out loud? Are you saying things to yourself like, I'll never be good enough? Okay, let's catch that. Instead, believing I am good enough. I am absolutely good enough. I am made for more. And if you're not noticing negative things being said out loud, then let's start replacing them with positive ones of the I deserve the best. I am a child of God. My kids deserve more. I deserve more. What more could I be doing? What would I do if I could do anything? If I could wave a magic wand over my life, what would the circumstances look like? And write those things down, say those things out loud. When we write those things down, it changes our brain chemistry to believe in possibility. And so what are some things for you that you could start reorienting or antithesizing, like just saying the opposite of? And the example that I'll give to you is there was even this is a totally opposite thing, but I believe it's really important. A few years ago, I moved from Los Angeles, California, where it's hot and sunny all year long, to Minnesota, where for 6 months out of the year, it is freezing. It is dark. It is snowing. It is the total opposite. And I moved there and I cried every single day, girl. Like I cried every day because I was miserable. It was dark. It was cold. I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning for my job at the time. I was miserable. And so the next winter, I made a promise to myself, like, girl, we really got to turn this around. I wonder if we could mind over matter ourselves into falling in love with this weather, which I hated. But I was like, okay, every single time that I feel tempted to complain, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to say and out loud that I believe in something different or that I believe in something more. So for example, instead of saying I hate the cold, I hate the winter, I love the cold. I love the winter. I love my boots. I love scraping my windshield. I love warming up my car. I love slipping on ice. I love boots. I love coats. And no lie, Christina, after about 30 days of out loud saying how much I loved that weather, I tricked myself into loving the cold. I will never forget the day where I opened up the door and the cold air just slapped me in the face and I smiled because it felt good to me. And I realized years later, wait a minute, I was doing the same thing when I was in that horrible relationship. I was telling myself, I will be a TV host. I am a TV host. I am going to make more money than this guy. I deserve to be in a loving and healthy relationship. And it took me a long time to realize that part of the equation. It took me almost probably more than 10 years to finally be in a beautiful relationship with someone who is the opposite of who that person was. And I'm so happy now. But you really have to really trick yourself and kind of lie to yourself and believing. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. But I do believe that our internal, our mindset, and our language, they're telling us lies, and we don't even realize that we're lying to ourselves. The third piece is the visible. So it's really looking at, okay, how does a confident person sit? How do they stand? How do they talk? That was something that I could fake really well, actually, because I grew up dancing and I grew up performing and I grew up very public. So I could put the makeup on and I could do my hair and I could put my clothes on. But what I hadn't done before, and why I love social media, was that I put in my social media profile and in my bio
Yes.
what I wanted. I put TV host.
And
And when I put TV host out into the world, even though I hadn't hosted anything, I was just making videos and putting them up on YouTube, I really began to carry myself differently. I really thought if I was that TV host on the screen, which I did end up doing that. I did have a career in TV, and thank goodness for that. And it started in this moment. But I thought, if I'm on TV, I don't want this stupid guy to be with me. I don't want to bring him to red carpets. I don't want to. And I began to really realize, you know what? This isn't a relationship I want to fix. This is a relationship that I need to eliminate from my life. And every relationship thereafter has been easier to get out of. There were certainly moments where I reverted to old patterns I didn't even realize I was. But I that was the beginning of really recognizing what a difference it makes when you surround yourself with someone who believes in you and challenges you versus someone who beats you up and doesn't want what's good for you and wants to hold you down and wants you to fail and wants to be in control. And my wish for anyone listening is just recognizing that you are in full control of yourself and your destiny. And there are a lot of things in the world that we can't control, but you can control your emotional state, how you carry yourself, and how you look at the world. And you can see this as something that happened to you, or you can see it as something that happened for you. And there are many moments, including this conversation, where I always wonder, why did God do that to me? Why was I stuck there for so long? Why did I meet this person? Why did I, and I would beat myself up about it. But then I have moments like this where I go, this is why. This is why. You needed to be able to go through that to be able to connect in this kind of a way to women like this, to let them know that life can look different and it can be different, and you never know who is listening or watching to that story or who could be looking at you going, if she can do it, I can do it. And I believe that anyone listening to this, you can do it.
It's amazing because these were exactly the words and the sentences I took, and this is how I started to change their life from. But do you believe in manifestation? And also when you start to change and talk about those big things I want to do, I've been in a situation where people say, you're crazy, you cannot do it. I have so many people who want to degrade you. The moment you want to say, I'm going to do this, or you're in a really bad situation, people say it's impossible, you have to follow, the rules. I said, nope. There is rules that are broken to protect me, then I'm not going to follow the rules. I create my own rules.
Yes, exactly. You do create your own rules, and that's where, I very much believe in certain pieces of manifestation, in that the law of attraction.
Yeah.
When you have good energy, you attract good people.
Exactly.
At the same time, I also believe that there is something bigger than us, where it's, listen, we're not a magician, we're not witches here. At least I don't want to be.
Well, we just a few hundred years, everybody who were crazy were witches.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm definitely a little crazy, I'm definitely a little extra, but I do believe that there is something bigger than us that would not put you through something that you could not survive. And recognizing that just because something doesn't go your way doesn't then mean that the universe is against you, doesn't then mean that you're doing something wrong or that you're being punished for something that you did. If anything, I believe that it is God, the universe. You don't have to believe in what I believe in, but I do believe that there is something going, hey, if you're going through this, it's because I believe that you can. And they perhaps intended to harm you, but I'm intending this for good. You get to decide what that good looks like.
How did you feel? Because through your journey, there were definitely moments when you lost people. You lost your friends because the very first time you said no, and they just were gone because they were used to, because you are a good girl. You always follow the rules. How did you felt and how easy or hard it was to go through that kind of moments that sometimes the friends you were the whole life, you just lose them and you feel the energy is not the same. You feel the envy, you feel the mocking or behind the scene talks. How do you get over it and accept that some people are not part of your life anymore?
Yeah, well, I recognized that there were 3 levels of friendships that I lost.
Yeah.
One were the friends that in reality were his friends. They were his friends the whole time. And I didn't understand it then, because to me at the time, those friends seemed valuable. Maybe they had certain connections, or maybe we had our own friendship, but ultimately they chose him. And I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now, which is, who would want to be friends with that kind of a person? And I recognize that now, where I'm very intentional about who I surround myself with. And so I realized that, you know, if they were surrounding themselves with someone like him, then either it was really just that they wanted access to whatever he was able to give to them. He was someone who, he was very prominent. He had a lot of access to people and places and restaurants and things. And so that, to them, the status was perhaps more important, but they were never really my friends in the first place. And I had to be okay with that. And it was hard. It really was hard, because the way that I took it was that they liked him better. But in actuality, it was, honestly, they're probably not the type of people who I want to be friends with anyway. The other type of friend who I lost was, again, someone who, they weren't really my friend in the first place. They didn't really understand who I was, or maybe they were just a party friend. Maybe they were just a seasonal friend. And again, we have to be okay with that. We're outgrowing those friendships. We're just, they're there for a good time, not a long time. And that's okay. The third one, though, was the hardest, which is the friends who, they did really love me, and they were perhaps my family and friends, and maybe they even tried to warn me. And I had really lost myself in the process. And in actuality, the way that I looked at it was that I was losing them. But when I looked at the situation, there were a lot of times where I actually chose him over them. And so they had to protect themselves too, where they were like, listen, girl, like you chose him. We tried to be there for you, and you decided to go in a different direction, and you totally lost yourself. And some of them I've salvaged since then, and some of them, unfortunately, have never been the same. And I do believe that one of my biggest regrets in life, I don't have a lot, but I definitely do have regrets over choosing men over my best friendships, and also not being able to find joy for my friends when they were going through wonderful times and I was going through really difficult times. And so I definitely, someone listening, I believe you need to hear it, which is, listen, there are people out there who genuinely love you. And it doesn't always feel like they love you. Sometimes it feels like they're judging you. But you have to really think about, okay, does this person really want my best interest? Are they looking out for me? And how can you perhaps listen to, lean on, see that as a red flag of what you need to do? But then also, when you are in that in-between moment where maybe you're single again, you're starting over again, you might feel really resentful towards friends who, they're going through great marriages, they're getting married, they're having babies, they're going through life milestones where you feel really behind. And my challenge for you is to do your best to find the joy. Don't ask why me, when is it going to be me? Because one of my biggest regrets is that I wasn't able to find that. And I think if anything, it made me a more miserable person, a more isolated person, rather than giving them the joy that I was hoping to eventually get in the long term.
What do you think about the theory people say, and I've heard it, and I'm actually doing it in 2026, is yes, year. Say yes, all the opportunities, all the challenges, even the difficulties, say yes to everything. When I started to think that, it was just a week ago, and it just switched my mindsets. Whatever happens in life, I'm not responsible for a lot of things, and I cannot control them. I will be happy for the things that I can control and choose. All the other one, if they come, I will be happy and say thank you. What do you think about that theory?
I do believe that anything that is meant for you will not miss you. And there were so many times throughout my single dating experience where I really thought that it was the right person at the wrong time. Babe, the right person at the wrong time is the wrong person. Plain and simple.
Correct.
Plain and simple. The right person
Correct.
at the wrong time is the wrong person. If ever, and then the exception is brought up, well, but I know this person, and they broke up and they got back together. If they got back together, it was because they had to come back together as two totally different people. Both of them had to change, not just one of you, and that change needed to still be compatible and in a new way. Otherwise, it's just not it. And I also, the thing that I used was when I was dating that particular person, I dated some other not great people. I'm embarrassed to admit, but he had.
Thank you for your honesty.
I know I didn't realize I was dating the same guy in a different outfit for years and years and years, and I had to learn the lesson. But he had a godmother who was a widow, and she was in a relationship with someone who she really loved, and for some silly reason, I just found it to be so inspired that she was able to find love twice. And we always think, oh, it's a once in a lifetime. It might not be. There's always somebody else. There's always somebody else. And that's not to say that the love of your life is replaceable, but I do believe that there's love all around us. And we can't rely on that love to come exclusively or unconditionally from our children, because that's when your children will then resent you. There are a lot of people who you decide to have children because you want to find that kind of love that you never had from another or from yourself. And so you really need to find it. And I also challenge you, what really helped me to find now the love that I have was I was intentionally single for about 5 years. And I dated here and there in that 5 years, but I was single, like really, really, really single. And I got to a point to where I probably got a little too comfortably single, where I was like, I don't need anybody anymore. I'm good. I'm happy. But, I think there's so much a subconscious that we need to have somebody, that we have to have somebody, that we need to just move on to the next thing. Sometimes the most important person you can find is yourself, and forgiving that person. And that's one last thing that, hold on one second.
Bless you.
one last thing that I want to share is the power of forgiveness that I've had to experience.
It is.
Forgiveness to that person who may never apologize to you.
The question is, you don't even want his apology in one point of your life. You don't even want his apology, and just accept him as he is, and he's gone. That's it. You're done.
Yeah. One of the most powerful experiences that I had, I know you get a little woo-woo, so I'll get a little woo-woo too.
No.
Is I remember years later dating someone, and it didn't go the way that I wanted. And I had this moment where I was just thinking about my younger self and all the times that she felt tired or heartbroken, or when is it going to be my time? When am I going to find my person? And she was just exhausted and sad. And I had this moment of, in my head, meditating and going back to that moment when I first left that relationship. And in my head, I had this conversation between my current self and my former self. And the only things that we said back and forth to each other was, I'm sorry, I forgive you. I'm sorry, I forgive you. And we went through this series of years. I thought about all the things that I was sorry for. I'm sorry that I stayed. I'm sorry that I dated that person. I'm sorry I abandoned you. And then her saying, I forgive you. But also her in that moment saying, I'm sorry I stayed. And me saying, I forgive you. And we think that forgiveness always has to be with that other person, that external person who hurt us. But one thing I didn't realize was I had yet to forgive myself for a lot of moments in my life where now I have the tools to recognize that I should have left sooner, or I should have never put myself into that situation. But I didn't know that. And I was mad at myself. I didn't realize how mad at myself I was, and how freeing it was to finally forgive myself and also apologize to myself. And so I also invite anyone listening to this to, it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship that's happy or not. Think about maybe moments in your life where you just didn't act the way that you would have liked, or you didn't stand up for yourself the way that you would like, or you found yourself stuck in a situation for longer than you would like. Take a moment to just put your hands on your heart and really say to yourself, I'm sorry, I forgive you. And I actually found years and years and years and years later, I forget what it's called. It's a long foreign name I can't pronounce, but there was this doctor who was brought in to work with inmates at a prison. And he actually had them do this exercise that they performed with each other. And all they said for a series of words was, I'm sorry, thank you, I forgive you, I love you. And it was one of the most profound exercises and experiments that they'd ever had in their lives. And I didn't realize that that's actually very similar to what I was doing on my own, and what a difference it could make.
So the words we
that's
release will also echo back to us. If we say good things, the good things will come to us, and bad things, they will also reflect us. And I also find when you say forgiveness is also important, because then you release all the bad energy the other person injected inside you. It's just gone. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
Because you left
Yes.
all those problems, this trouble, you just left it through. You just go with the flow.
Yes.
And I really love the way you talked about the filters, that you had this a little bit medical condition, you had no other option. As a woman, you were struggling with certain kind of details and emotions. And after 30 days, you said, I don't care, no more filters, because we all love filters.
Yep. Well, that's really just the question to anyone listening is, where are you hiding? What are some of the ways that you're hiding and telling yourself that you're not good enough? Filters are the thing that we see so many women using. So we think, oh, this is harmless, it's fine. It's like makeup. Okay, but then you put it on top of your makeup. Or it makes you look like you've lost 20 pounds, or like you have no blemishes or pores. And it creates this irrational idea of perfection. And that's what a lot of us are holding on to for control. We're reaching out for this irrational idea of perfection. And when we don't reach it, we continue to beat ourselves up. And so it really is, when I say that breakups are the best breakthroughs that you can go through. It really gives you the opportunity to see who you are and what you're made of.
I do agree.
But a lot of us continue to hide from ourselves. There was a long time where I didn't even realize I couldn't even look myself in the mirror. I would go look in the mirror and I would look at my body, I'd look at my makeup, I'd look at my hair, but I wouldn't really look at myself. And so where are you hiding from yourself? And if filters are that, maybe filters are messing you up. We got to drop the filters. That's one of those ways where you mentioned, what's an easy way that you can do it? Okay, drop the filter. That's something that it's free. You don't have to pay for it. Try. Don't use it for 30 days. Just do 30 days, no filters. Show up every day on camera and no filters. And every single person who I have come across who has actually done it, they say not only has it changed their business or their habits online, they say it's changed their lives. And I don't believe that's a coincidence.
You are a coach. You have to inspire so many people in the world. So it's 9:30 in the morning. Did you jump when you wake up in the morning? Because every single time I see those amazing jumping videos, like, let's do it, just exactly like that. And sometimes it is 8 o'clock in the morning and you have to inspire like thousands of people in the audience. What is the secret to find that energy?
I know. Well, I got 2 dogs that are yelling at me right now, ready to go out. So it's freezing in Texas right now. One of the things that I will do, excuse me, ma'am, I'm doing an interview, please. One of the things that I will do is I didn't jump this morning. I do love to jump. I do love to dance. I do love to start my day with music, with song, with worship. But typically what I will do for good energy is I'll make sure that I go outside. Even if it's cold, especially if it's cold, the cold wakes me up, reminds me that I'm alive, and I got 2 dogs to take me outside in the morning. I also love to start with something that is nourishing for my body. So instead of opening up social media, I'll open up my Bible and I pray. I journal or I write a letter to God every day. And again, you don't have to believe in what I believe in. You could believe in God. You can believe in dogs. Although the English language dog is God spelled backwards, I don't think that's any coincidence. My dogs are a blessing. But, even if you don't know what you believe in, or if you don't believe in anything at all, great. One of the best exercises you could do is just write a letter to God every morning. Even if you don't know who God is, even if you're not sure what to believe, and just start talking. If there was a God, what would you tell him about your life? And would it be something that you're celebrating? Would it be something that you're complaining about? Would you be asking for help about? But it feels so nice believing that there is somebody else who is watching you and listening to you and believing that there's a better outcome for you. And so that's what I always start my day with. I didn't get to start with jumping and dance this morning, but yesterday when I was in front of 1,500 people,
I saw that.
Oh, girl, trust. Yeah, I was jumping, I was dancing, I was running around, I was working out, everything. I was working the crowd. It was great.
If you're a coach and you're going on the stage, you've been traveling all around the world in different places, and the audience in different countries, and even if inside the United States, the people are so different. If you're on the stage, do you sense the people? You make a scenario and you're on the stage and just to feel like, okay, it's not working, I have to change. Can you do it or adapt? Or what is the difficulties of being a coach and speak in front of thousands?
Always. That is my Superpower. I believe I belong in every room, and I read the audience. I read the audience. I always am so connected to the audience, where if I need to, even yesterday when I delivered that conversation, I changed my mind the night before and decided to go with a totally different story. I was actually thinking about sharing that story that you heard about my breakup, and went a totally different direction. And I talked all about football. And I do have that instinct. I do feel like I can read the room. I always pray over the room, and I will go in that direction instead if I believe that's what we need. And even as I'm up there, if there are certain things where I feel like it's not quite hitting or we need to go a little bit longer, I really do my best to stay in tune with the audience. But I also know the mission that I have. So I know, for example, that there will be resistance. I know that there will be people who don't want to participate. And so I know that psychologically. I also know that in terms of what I say to call people up, to call people out, and to get them feeling uncomfortable and recognizing that, hey, I understand what you're going through. Therefore, that's what we're doing.
I still have one question. What is the best compliment people have said you, and how do you define love? These are like really important things and subjects for me.
The best compliment is when someone says that they applied something to their life and they changed their life. And often they say something to the effect of, you changed my life. And I say, no, you did. You changed your life. I gave you the tools, but you were the one who put it into action. I was simply a door that opened, or I helped you to open a door, and you were the one who changed your life, and now you get to decide what to do with it. Go pay it forward. Go be that ripple effect. Go be that tsunami. And go be that love that you know, and allow for it to be big. Because love, to me, I used to think it was a definitive resource, something that you could run out of, that if you had your heart broken a certain amount of times that you would lose it completely. And in actuality, we are beings with infinite amounts of love and joy. Love and joy are not something that have to find us. We can create it from within us. And that is one of the greatest gifts that we have as humans on this earth. And I believe in rejoicing always and in everything. That's one of my favorite quotes, which is rejoice in everything and always, and find gratitude in everything always. And something that has been conditioned in me for my whole life, finding gratitude in everything, and that will change your whole perspective on everyone.
Thank you, Gisela, for joining us from cold Austin. I can tell you it's also freezing around behind my back from Estonia. So as the world is coming smaller because we are connecting through the Zoom and the things. So thank you very much for your time. All the best wishes to Austin, and thank you for coming. Thank you. Bye. Bye, Giselle. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Ciao.